here with the Samsung Chromebook 2. As the name would suggest, it is the company's latest Chromebook. I happen to be here with the 13-inch version, which costs $400, and you can also get a smaller 11-inch version for $320. This is in many ways going to be a very shallow review video because we're going to be focusing on things like, I don't know, the surface of the lid, which in this case has a faux leather look. You might say leather, that's sort of weird. It's not weird if you know Samsung. And it's actually, I've grown to like it. I'm making fun of it, but I actually do enjoy it. It has a soft feel to it. It does a good job repelling scratches and also fingerprints. So it stays looking clean in addition to stylish. The only thing is that once you flip it over, it looks a lot cheaper than it looks from the other end, just because this is still kind of smooth. Very hollow sounding plastic there. At 13 inches and a little over 3 pounds, it's pretty standard weight for a Chromebook this size. It is thinner than some other Chromebooks of the same size, so it's 0.65 inches thick. You'll find some Chromebooks that are a bit fatter, so this at least has a more stylish, slimmed down profile, similar to Samsung's Ultrabooks, I might add. Lift up the lid here and you've got a really great keyboard. And I say that not just because it's a 13-inch keyboard and not just because the keys are well spaced here, but it's actually really sturdy. So if I open it up here, if I open up a tab and I just start typing, it's really easy for me to start typing. And if I had a choice really between carrying a tablet with a keyboard case with me and something like this, a Chromebook, a really inexpensive Chromebook with a really sturdy keyboard, I would definitely choose this. And it really depends what your priorities are. If you want to do a lot of web searching, a lot of typing, a lot of email, this is definitely the keyboard for it. And the trackpad too, I would say. This is a pretty big trackpad and it responds really well to gestures like 2-finger scrolling. And that's good news because this doesn't actually have a touchscreen. Let's look at the display. And the display here I think is going to get somewhere in the middle because on the one hand you've got really sharp resolution. This is a full HD display. So actually this screen is noticeably sharper than my MacBook Air. Fighting words, sure, but this is really a modern screen. It's about as sharp as you would want it to be. The only thing is that even though it can get kind of bright at 250 nits, the viewing angles are really not great. So see if I'm on an airplane here and I just dip the screen forward a little bit, I'm gonna have trouble reading that screen. I'm having trouble reading it right now. But if I put it back up that way and if I fiddle with it just right, I'm gonna have an angle I'm happy with. So again, this is a 0.65 inch thick device. It's fairly thin for what it is. Moving over here, you've got USB 3, you've got full-sized HDMI. That is a micro SD slot. It's meant to complement the built-in 16 gigs of local storage, and that's a pretty standard spec for Chromebooks, by the way. So here you've got a headphone jack, you've got USB 2, not 3, and that is a lock slot, which is going to make it really ideal for classrooms especially. On the inside, there is an octa-core Samsung-made processor, and it's very similar to the one inside the new Galaxy S5 smartphone. And that is to say that there are 8 cores, but they're not all working at once. So the best 4 that are suited to the task at hand will be working at one time. You might find that performance is not quite up on the same level as an Intel Haswell processor, especially with some Core i3 Chromebooks coming later this year. But for now, the performance is, if not best in class, it's definitely good enough. The battery life here is rated at 8.5 hours, so that's the top end of normal from what we've seen on 13-inch Chromebooks. So again, expect good enough performance and pretty good battery life. And all things considered, a pretty good price, starting at $400 for this guy and a lower $320 if you'll take the smaller 11-inch version.
I'm Aaron Huffman, a senior producer at GoPro. We're bringing our athletes out here to train them and teach them how to capture great content, give them the tips and tricks and all the tools.